It is you, isn't it? Yes!
Yes.
Lord Megatron! At last!
Fuck me! Like, God! Netflix, Rooster Teeth, why? Hey guys, the Fire Brothers here, and I'm upset. I'm really upset. Not only is this the second time I'm recording this because the first video was very rated R and I didn't wanna upload something that will get demonetized. I'm just very upset because Beast Wars Megatron is my favorite character, and as you guys heard it, this is his voice for Transformers Kingdom. Now, I know right off the bat there's gonna be people defending this. Some smaller YouTubers whose names I'm not gonna mention, but I do know they mention me indirectly in some of their videos. But if you try and defend this, I'm curious. Are you also okay with Squeaker Boy Superman and Batman being voiced by SpongeBob? Listen, this is on par with that. My problem with a lot of these voice actors, and it's not their fault, because I think a lot of these guys are talented. I will defend to the death the voice actor for Bumblebee. In my opinion, he is one of the best voice actors for the Transformers War For Cybertron trilogy. He's also a really cool guy. I like him a lot. He's like one of my favorite voice actors. The girl who voices Alita 1, the guy who voices Mirage, like there are some really good actors in the War For Cybertron Netflix series, but a lot of them I feel like they're miscasted, or Rooster Teeth gives them very direction. Now, the director for the series, DeSanto, I think that's his name, he basically mentioned that the reason why the voices sound like this is because it's their artistic vision. And this is something that I was gonna save for my critique of the series overall, because I mean, I haven't seen Kingdom yet. Some people got to see it early because Netflix sent them early copies for them to watch and review, but they didn't send one to me. Because, you know, I've been very critical of Netflix and they don't like criticism. But in the TFW 2005 website, Tony Backlund, who got an early review of the War For Cybertron series, well, early preview of it, basically summarized everything in a post reviewing the series. There are no spoilers here, by the way. There are some spoilers, but they're very minor, don't even matter, to be honest. And I like how when he covers the episodes one by one, he lists like what he found cool, what he found bad. When Beast Wars Megatron first shows up, his exact comment is, "Oh no, big changes here on all fronts." From what he has described, Beast Wars Megatron here is more of a fanboy. Like, think of it like Scorponok from the original Beast Wars cartoon. That's not Megatron. I mean, I can guess that Megatron will fangirl a bit over, you know, his ancestor, the original Megatron. But, listen, my problem here is that a lot of these characters are not voiced properly. Soundwave doesn't sound like Soundwave. Shockwave sounds like a mad scientist, which I'm one of those few people who say that I think Shockwave's voice kind of fits him, but I see why people are upset. I definitely do see the problem. And of course, we have the infamous Wynimus Prime. Wynimus Prime. Toby, forgive me! And we are now the Decepticons. Like, in the wise words of Garvychuk, everyone here tries to sound like a tough guy and everyone ends up sounding the same. The voice actors here try to either imitate, you know, one of the previous incarnations. Like, the guy who voices Optimus Prime tries to imitate Peter Cullen and he ends up sounding kinda bad instead of doing his own thing. Megatron talks so freaking slowly. I am not gonna speed that up. Like, listen, when you have half your audience, and I'm saying this nicely, Netflix, Rooster Teeth, people who are watching this, when you have half your audience purposely speeding up the speed of your series to, you know, hurry it up and to not sit through what's a very boring, lifeless monologue / acting performance, you don't goof up. I don't care what anyone says. Now, new people voicing stuff is not bad. It's not like, I'm not one of those people who says that Optimus Prime can and only should be voiced by Peter Cullen. I'm not one of those. I'm all about, you know, giving new people a fair shot. And animated Optimus Prime, the Unicron trilogy, Optimus Prime, voiced by Gary Chalk, even Optimus Primal, you know, back in the day, were voiced by different people, not voiced by the original voice actors. These guys stood out because they brought their own, you know, essence, their own personality into the performances. The original Beast Wars Megatron has such charisma and intimidation factor that it's gonna be so hard to replicate that. So I understand why you had to get a new voice actor for that. So, you know, you might want to get either something similar or go in a complete different direction. But the problem is, this direction is shit. It's shit. Megatron sounds like a pervert, like Kermit the Pervert from Family Guy. He sounds nothing like what Beast Wars Megatron should. It's like SpongeBob being voiced by Batman. It doesn't fit. It's supposed to be a, you know, fun kid-go-lucky cartoon character. When you have him, you know, be like, "Hey Patrick, you wanna go to the Krabby Patty?" It doesn't sound right. It doesn't work. Characterization and, you know, the voices need to fit the characterization. That's what I'm going for. I'm probably not gonna edit this because I just want to get this out there. I'm really mad, really angry. Netflix doesn't deserve my editing. Which is kind of funny because my previous video was basically giving you guys a Beast Wars opening, and that kind of rallied everyone against Netflix in a weird way. I think that's also the reason why they didn't send me a copy to review. So here we are. Someone in the TFW website basically mentioned that the Beast Wars Megatron sounds like an old man having asthma, and I wouldn't disagree with that. Rarity has been really messing up with the voice actors, and that's because they don't want to get unionized voice actors which are more quality over quantity. These guys are cheaper, like, you know, kind of a downgrade. That's why they get them, so they don't have to pay as much. And again, that's not to say that these people are bad by default. I mentioned before, there are some voice actors I really do like in this series. My problem is that I feel like Rarity or Netflix, for whatever reason, just doesn't get what these characters are, who they're supposed to be. Listen, some character changes, I understand. Bumblebee sounds like a tough, older, you know, kind of loner, mercenary kind of guy, and that's what he's supposed to be. That's completely fine. But this Megatron, he's not supposed to be an old man about to die of asthma. He's supposed to be methodical, cunning, a strategist, and, you know, not just a fanboy. That's what they're gonna reduce him to in this series. And from what I hear, he's also not the only character that basically goes through the same kind of butchering. Some other characters also get changes that some people don't like, that like Dinobot, who doesn't do the hissing thing. But fine, I can kind of understand why. I still need to listen to the performance, so I won't judge the Dinobot voice actor too severely. But listen to me, I think this sucks. It's awful. Will it ruin the series? Nah, I don't think so. Listen, we had Air Rights and Siege, and I thought that those two were underwhelming. So even if this turns out to be great, I still wouldn't say this is a great series. The visuals look good. I like some of the action here. Like, I will always give praise / credit where credit is due. But when they do something bad, I'm gonna call it out. I don't care how much you defend this. If you're okay with this, and if you're okay with, you know, whiny Optimus Prime and slow talking Megatron and old pervert Beast Wars Megatron, then tell me, are you also okay with SpongeBob being voiced by Batman or Superman being voiced by a squeaky child? That's the example I'm using because I think it's a perfect analogy to what's going on here. These are characters that, you know, have a specific way of being. You know, you can't have Optimus Prime be a coward and be voiced by a cowardly person. You can't have, well, unless you change the characters. But then again, this series is not really doing that much. Animated changed the series completely, so they're in that series, them changing voice actors and changing, you know, Peter Cullen for someone else made complete sense. But in here, that's not the case. Since these characters are either bland who don't get much development, so we assume that they're supposed to be the G1 Transformers that we all know and love, and the ones that they do change, they either do fit or they're very strange because they don't change enough. Like Soundwave's still the communication officer, and for some reason he sounds really weird when he's not supposed to sound like that. Honestly, I'm really upset at Netflix, at Rooster Teeth for this. I can't say I blame them entirely because I do believe for a fact that the budget for this series must not have been that high, to be honest. If they need to reuse assets in Earthrise, if they need to reuse voice actors, yeah, there's a lot of reusing of the voice actors here. They don't have enough to give all the characters a differentiating voice, and by unionized voice actors. Now again, I want to say before we go on that not recruiting unionized voice actors is not a crime. Some people are saying that it is a crime. No, it's not. It's really scummy, and people who defend the series, primarily smaller YouTubers, I'm not gonna say names, really ignore this point. Like, the whole point of unionized voice actors is that they get paid because of their hard work, the performance they do, so they don't get cheated or scammed. They have some layer of protection against a company, because remember, at the end of the day, these are companies. Rooster Teeth, Netflix, two giant companies. I don't think people need to white knight for them. If you want to say, hey, I actually like what they're doing with some of these characters, then that's completely fine. I just don't think these big $1 million companies need your help. If you want to criticize them, that's fine. If you want to say, hey, I actually like some of these changes they're doing, that's fine. That's completely fine. But if you want to say there's nothing wrong with this series, I think you're completely wrong. And I don't mean that about anyone specifically. I know it sounds mean, okay? It sounds mean. I'm sorry for that, but I just really think that we shouldn't ignore some of these flaws that the series has. At the end of the day, whenever I make my Transformers, critiques of the War for Cybertron trilogy, it's at a place of law, because I want the series to be good. But it feels like ever since Siege, they haven't been listening, or they haven't been improving enough. We complain about the voice actors. What did they do? They didn't change much. They just reused the same voice actors. We complain about the story. They didn't really change much. They kept Megatron's dialogue very slow. And the thing that pains me the most is that I see why people like this series. Like, if you like it, that's fine. Like, again, that's completely fine. But the series could be so much better. And I think people who even like this series will agree. If the voice direction here was better, if Rooster Teeth will actually let these voice actors do their own thing, as opposed to, hey, be Peter Cullen, or hey, be strong generic guy number 14, I feel like this series could be amazing. It could even surpass Prime. And yes, I said it, I love the animation. I think the 3D models look very good. I love the fact that these characters are taken straight from the toys. I think that's amazing. That's not done quite a bit for a lot of these series. Usually the toys look very different. I love the approach they took for this series. And I think a series where we start on Cybertron, have a small journey to the universe, and then end on Earth just in time for Beast Wars, it's a great idea. I think that's amazing. The execution of it's what really, brings it down. Any premise in a story can be really good. It's up to the execution to determine whether this is gonna be good or whether this is gonna be bad. And I'm just tired of Netflix constantly butchering this series. Netflix, I know I'm throwing blame everywhere, and to be honest, I kinda am, because I'm still pissed that this is the Megatron they're giving us, a fanboy who sounds like Herbert the Pervert, and it's not what Beast Wars Megatron should be. And I'm saying what he should be because they're following closer to the OG stuff. These characters look exactly like the G1 the G1 counterparts. It's not like animated, which changed them almost completely. The Beast Wars cast is exactly the same as it was in the OG original Beast Wars cartoon. It's not like, let's say, I don't want to use Beast Machines as an example, but in Beast Machines they kind of change everything in a way. Okay, that was a bad example, but the point is that if you want these characters to be different, if you're trying to do your own thing, if this is your artistic vision, then don't try to follow so close to the OG stuff. If you don't want people to compare these Beast Wars cast, these Beast Wars voice actors to the original ones, then get rid of some of the Maximals here. Give us new Maximals. Make us visually identify that this is not supposed to be the same Beast Wars. This is supposed to be a different Beast Wars. So us comparing them to the originals are unfair. We shouldn't be doing that. Instead, they're trying to be as familiar as possible while changing stuff, and honestly, I don't think that works. I think that Rise of the Beast, despite not having Gary Chalk, is being very original by having, you know, different robot designs from what we heard at least, and having the setting of the Beast Wars be entirely new and different. So, you know, we know for a fact they're doing their own thing, so changes are tolerable. But here, you're staying so close to the original that when you change stuff, it feels weird. It comes off as, you know, why would you do that? And even the changes you made are not even that good. So yeah, overall, horrible execution, and I think that's the main problem with the War for Cybertron trilogy. If you, again, I know there's people who like it, especially on my Discord server. There are a few. It's fine. I'm not complaining about you, not talking bad about you, even though like it kind of sounded like I did. You're free to like it. I like the Star Wars prequels, even though I will admit they're not entirely good movies. You can like what you want, but if you say that this show has no flaws and that the voice acting here is perfect, I'm sorry, but you're delusional. That's all I have to say. Expect more videos ranting on this. I have quite a few things planned. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. This is probably not going to be that edited because this is mostly a rant. A passionate rant. So yeah, see you guys on the next one. Bye guys. Anyways guys, before we go, shout out to our amazing patrons: True Blue 712, Stitch Productions, Stephanie Ballard, Christopher Prime, Predakinghunter Playz, Mario Gordon, Allspark Studios, Scrub Lordo, and to our even bigger big boss patron Jordan the Great, who donated $100. And to our other even bigger boss Patreon, X23, who donated a amount of money. I leave you guys to wonder how much he did. Anyways, thank you guys for your donation, it's much appreciated. I need the money to be able to feed Squeaker, because Squeaker is a useless platypus who doesn't do much all day. So it falls to me and you. I tip my fedora in gratitude and toast in your honor. If you guys want to donate to my Patreon, links in the description down below. Some of these guys also do some YouTube content, so if you guys want to check them out, that will be much appreciated. Some of them do Transformers stuff, some of them do non-TF content if you're into that. But be sure to check them out because you're guaranteed to find at least something cool that's you're liking one of their channels. I even collab with some of them, Scrubler. But keep in mind that donating is optional because freedom is the right of all sentient beings. By donating to my Patreon, you get quite a few rewards. You get to see some of my videos early, some of my more longer animated projects. You'll get to see some early sketches and even suggest some things if you want them to. You get to collab with me in some of my videos if you so choose. You just have to let me know. And you can request videos and suggest some video ideas. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal. But just remember, we don't force anyone. So yeah, thanks a lot guys.